Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday and welcome to Weekend Wellness Tips. I started this little idea a few weeks ago. I really wanted to be able to share the things that I've been learning about nutrition, and I'm not a nutritionist, but I'd love to be able to go to school for nutrition in the near future. So I'm definitely thinking about that. And just in my spare time, I realized that I had become so interested in learning more about how food affects our bodies. I've been reading a lot of books, listening to some really awesome podcasts, and just on a more personal level, a few months ago, I decided to do a detox where I basically eliminated foods that weren't serving my body. And through that 1 month process of not eating certain things like sugar, gluten, dairy, soy, I lost 8 pounds and I wasn't expecting that. I was really just trying to experiment and see what would happen if I took out these foods. I've always kind of liked trying different things and seeing what makes me feel better, and I decided to give it a try. So my skin improved, my sleep quality, I had more energy, and even my emotional state. I just felt like I was so happy all of the time when I was doing the detox. And, before that, I had just graduated and just kind of didn't really know where I was going next. So it really did change every aspect of my health. And I'm so happy today that I discovered all these things that I just want to share it with more people because 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So what that means is that 80% of the food that we eat affects our health. And or excuse me, 80% of our health is affected by the foods that we eat. That's a better way of saying it. So that's why I decided for the Miss America program, I'm competing through the Miss America system, that it just made perfect sense for my platform to be Feeding Our Future, which is educating people about the importance of nutrition and teaching them the things that I didn't know before that I had to go out and research on my own because you hear a lot of mixed messages about what's considered healthy. And the topic I'm going to be talking about today definitely falls into that category. I'm basically going to be discussing the differences between organic and conventional produce, which is something that I think most people realize that organic is somehow better, it's healthier for some reason, but they don't exactly know why or know if it's worth the extra cost. So you might know that organic produce is more natural. It's free of pesticides and things like that. It's also better for the environment. It most of the time you can support your local farmers markets and local farms by buying organic. So some people might realize those reasons, but I definitely didn't really see what the big deal was about buying organic. So I'm going to be talking about that today, and hopefully I'll convince some people to start buying organic. So basically the first reason is that organic produce, it doesn't contain any pesticides, herbicides, or GMOs. So pesticides are what they spray on the fruit and vegetables to keep bugs away, and it's not good for the environment. The people who are spraying it actually wear masks because it's so bad to ingest. It's toxic. So why would we be eating those things if we can't even breathe them? And not to mention like the animals who are in the surrounding areas are unwillingly ingesting these pesticides. So I can think of a lot of reasons why we shouldn't be doing this to our produce. It's not good for the environment and it's not good for our health. Also, GMOs. So, GMOs are genetically modified organisms. And basically, what that means is due to a lot of advances in science and genetics over the past few years, scientists have actually been able to change the DNA, the genetic material of produce to make it grow faster, bigger, so that, it looks more appetizing. But it doesn't actually have as many nutrients as the organic produce, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes or in about a minute. So our bodies were made to process and digest these genetically modified organisms. That's something that's created by science, and our bodies just don't know what to do with it. So you always want to stay as natural as possible because that's what we function best off of eating. All right, so like I said, pesticides are also bad for the environment. And another thing is there's kind of this philosophy that everything you eat can either be classified as a toxin or as beneficial, as fuel for your body. And our body came up with this great mechanism to protect us from toxins, and it's called fat. So whenever we eat toxic things like sugar, alcohol, things that our body recognizes as a toxin, it will put fat around it to basically protect our body from it. So that's why you get this fat stored in like the belly area or, like your thighs and that kind of thing because your body is trying to protect you from these toxins that you're eating. So what happens when you get rid of the toxins is the fat actually goes away. So I think that's a pretty motivating reason to want to start eating more natural foods is because the fat will go away. Also, something that I actually had no idea. So, like I mentioned, the organic produce, like a conventional apple that's genetically modified. You'll see this huge apple in the grocery store and then this tiny little organic apple, and you're like, the regular one looks much better and it's cheaper and it's more food, it's bigger. But the thing that most people don't know is that there's actually more nutrients in the tiny organic apple than there is in the conventional, larger apple that's really shiny and has a bunch of wax on it. So, for example, let's take organic spinach. It has a ton of calcium in it. So, leafy greens have a ton of calcium. You're way better off eating a cup of broccoli than you are drinking a glass of milk because then you get so much more calcium from that and you don't have to deal with the downsides of lactose and milk is really just not good for you contrary to popular belief. But so organic spinach has twice as much calcium as the conventional spinach. So even though, like I said, it might seem like it's just more expensive, what's the big deal, you're actually getting way more nutrients out of it. And when you fulfill your body with the nutrients that it needs, you're not going to be as hungry anymore because it's getting the vitamins that it was so desperately craving. So just to wrap everything up, yes, it does cost more, but it's worth it. So the way that I think about investing a little bit more in more nutritious foods is that it's an investment in your health. So you're starting now trying to make better choices so that you can avoid the illnesses that come with bad food choices in the long run, heart disease, obesity, joint disease, sleep apnea, all of these things that are related to bad food choices. If you start making the easier, the simple switches now and make it a habit over your lifetime, you're never going to have to deal with the pain and the discomfort of those diseases that are related to food and everything that has to do with inflammation, arthritis, IBS. Like I said, 80% of your immune system is in your gut, and the way that your body reacts to things that it doesn't recognize is through inflammation. So all of those inflammatory diseases, I believe, are very related to food. And just another note on the cost. It's kind of, I don't know that much about economics, but it's a simple supply and demand. So as more people start buying organic, there's going to be a higher demand for it and the prices will go down. So help us all out, start buying organic, and the prices will go down. So, I'll admit, I don't always buy organic produce when I go to the store. For example, if I'm going to make a recipe and I know I have to get all of these things, and I go to a store that only has a really small organic section because I know that they're going to have all the other ingredients that I need, I will buy what I can organic, and sometimes I won't go to another store and I'll just buy the conventional onions that are already pre-chopped up or something like that. So it's not perfect. You don't have to be perfect. There will be some months where you probably can afford organic food more than others, but just buy it when you can and, just remember all of these health benefits. So just to help you make that decision, there's this thing called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So this is basically a list, sounds kind of funny, but there's a list of foods that you absolutely should be buying organic and ones that you can kind of get away with not because there's less pesticides. And this is on foodnews.org. So basically, the rule of thumb is when a fruit or a vegetable has really thin skin, it can become very penetrated by pesticides. So like blueberries, tomatoes, apples all have very thin skin that doesn't protect the inside of the fruit from the pesticides. And you're eating the skin too, so you're eating everything that's been on that food. So for the other types of vegetables and fruit that have kind of a thicker skin, like watermelon oranges, things that you peel and you kind of just eat the inside, you can get away with not buying organic. Of course, it's always best to buy organic, but if you're trying to save some money and just get a head start and try to start buying more organic, that is the perfect way to start. So something that I want you to do is when you go to the grocery store and you're buying produce, I want you to buy organic this week and to support local farmers markets. And those are always a lot of fun to go to with other people and just kind of talk to the people who actually grew the food, and you know exactly what's in it and what's on it. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you'll start thinking about organic produce in a different way. So have a great day, guys.